Hi everyone, Merry Christmas. This is going to be my last video before Christmas, I think. And then I usually have my January break where I usually take a bit of time off, spend time with my family and relax. I thought I'd talk about qualifying dates. Just the experience I've had really of qualifying dates. I think when you're younger, obviously you're not as time sensitive. I think when I was younger, I would literally just go on a date with anyone. Anyone that asked, anyone if I was even really on the fence about, I would just go on a date with them. Because when you're younger, there isn't so much pressure, i.e. waste time. You can go out there, casually date, waste time, build up your dating experience of what you do like, what you don't like in a man, and you can have fun. Whereas when you're older, you get to the stage where you have to qualify dates. Maybe you've got children, maybe you've got a intense job, don't physically have the time to keep going on multiple days. So you have to qualify them. I've definitely stepped up my qualifying of dates. I'm much more picky. I talk to men more before, but I still have a cut-off period. Like I've told you before, I don't endlessly talk to a man. I have a cut-off period where I can sense, are they really interested in me or are they just wasting my time? This experience I'm going to talk about, it pretty much put me off dating forever, really. You know when you literally meet a man and you get all your hopes up and you think, this is it. I found the one now. This is it. I don't have to go on the dating apps. This man ticks every box I have. It's all going to be fine. I'm not going to have to date anymore. I'm not going to have to go on the apps. And I met someone that had a good job. He seemed interesting. He said he liked reading and he really seemed different from all the other guys. But he wasn't. What a shock. And I qualified this man as best as I could on the dating app, getting the answers I wanted, making sure he had a good stable job, making sure he was an interesting person, making sure he had hobbies, and he wasn't being overly sexual, he was just being normal. So when he asked my phone number, part of me did still feel it's a bit early for me to give my phone number. But what did I do? I just decided to override my gut feeling. And I feel sometimes my whole channel is just watching the consequences of me overriding my gut feeling all the time. Where it's like, why don't you listen to your gut feeling? How old are you now? Just fucking listen to it. Just stop ignoring it. You're usually right. Just stop ignoring your gut feeling. And we switched phone numbers and he asked to chat on the phone. And I just thought at first, this is really refreshing. Men never want to talk on the phone. This person's different. This could potentially go somewhere. This man actually wants to physically talk on the phone. It's going to be different. And I decided to talk to him, and it was a Friday night at 8 p.m. And he said, do you want to chat? Do you want to hear my voice? I was like, yeah, okay, I'll hear your voice. And bear in mind, it wasn't late. I've seen those really funny reels where people say, never talk to a man at midnight. And it's so true. Because if you talk to a man at midnight, they just switch it into a sexual conversation. So I thought, he's not going to be sleazy. It's Friday, 8 p.m. He's finished work. It should just be a chat where we get to know each other. So he had a Scottish accent. The mean part of me thought, the Scottish accent doesn't do anything for me. And he said, do you like the Scottish accent? I lied and said yes, whereas deep down I didn't. I'm trying to not just be dismissive of people and be like, oh, I don't like that accent. That's not for me. So I thought, okay, it's a Scottish accent. Ugh, I can't even say Scottish accent. And it wasn't, oh my God, it wasn't a sexy accent. It wasn't like a Mel Gibson Braveheart accent. It was like thick Glaswegian accent. Didn't really do a lot for me. And the conversation didn't really flow. I was asking questions and he was giving me 1-2 word answers. And it was just really awkward. And we had a couple of minutes of this. And then he just started to basically turn everything I was saying into an innuendo. He was just switching his language and being really sexual. And I felt really uncomfortable because A, I've never met this man before. Literally just talking to him for a few days on the app. And when he asked my phone number, I felt like I hadn't got enough of a rapport with him in my gut. But I thought, what's the worst that can happen? Chatting to him on the phone. And he was just being really sexual, a step above flirting. And then, you know, when men I don't know how to describe it, but they just turn everything into an innuendo. Just asking really creepy stuff, like what I was like in bed. Questions that you wouldn't ask someone that you didn't know. He was basically asking questions that were completely inappropriate. And I just felt like I had to shut the conversation down. And because I wasn't giving him what he wanted, after about 10 minutes, he said he had a work call on the other line and he ended the call. Bearing in mind it was Friday at 8 p.m, so he knew he was lying, and I knew, okay, that will be the last I ever hear from that guy because he's just lied outright to my face, and he's used that as an excuse to get off the phone, because who has a work call at Friday at 8 p.m? Unless you're like Diary of a fucking CEO, that's not going to be a thing. So this man was barefaced lying to me, and I just took it down to experience. And then he said, oh, hopefully I wasn't too full on the phone, and then never heard from him again. He just disappeared. He just ghosted into thin air, and he wouldn't reply to my follow-up message. And that's when I knew. I just thought, you've tried. You've literally tried so hard to find someone on the dating apps. You can't say that you haven't tried. You've been on dates, you've given people a chance, you have tried. And this man was literally the nail on the coffin. It hasn't worked. And I honestly feel now that if I date now, if I don't meet someone through YouTube, then I'm good. I feel like I've done what I can. Sorry, memory card changed, so I won't be in the same position. So every time I give men a chance, every time I think, this one will be different, this one will be respectful, this one will take me out on dates, this one won't just be a creep that wants sex. They all turn around and become like this. And these aren't men that I've just approached on Tinder. It's not like I've approached 50 men on Tinder and this is what happened. This is literally the men that approach me. And my profile isn't overly suggestive. I'm not wearing provocative clothing. I'm just wearing normal clothes. I'm not doing poses. I've seen my brother's Tinder and I have seen what some of the women do on Tinder. Some of their pictures are downright scandalous, and my profile's not like that. So why do I get the men that are just really sleazy and disgusting? I don't know. I have this theory. Men almost prefer it when you present yourself in a way that's almost innocent and sweet and kind. It's almost more of a turn on for men. They see it as more of a challenge to make that woman become sexual, because you're presenting yourself as someone that's sweet and nice and kind. Whereas if you're someone like Cardi B, that's literally just, their whole image is just sexual, sexual, sexual. Or someone like Megan Thee Stallion, whereas they're like twerking and it's like sexual, sexual, sexual. It's not a challenge for a man to make you become sexual. I think this is why narcissists and predators prey on people that present themselves in a way that is sweet and honest and kind. It's more of a challenge, and men get off on that sexually. Whereas if you present yourself as a overtly sexual person on a dating app, it's not a challenge for a man. And he has nowhere to go because you're already presenting yourself like that. So sometimes I think that's why I attract the players, the narcissists and the dusties, because it's more of a challenge for them. And there's nothing I can do about it. It's just, I'm just being who I am, and that's how it is. The thing is, I do not have enough of a profile to get on Raya. I don't think Raya is going to be any different. I think Raya is still going to be the same. People swiping and people with not enough time to date, because they're going to be even more high profile. They're not going to have time to date. So I don't think Raya is going to be any better. Even though I probably couldn't get on Raya anyway. I imagine, obviously I haven't been on it, but I imagine the standards on Raya are slightly skewed. I reckon they tend to let on more attractive females with a lesser social standing, and the men probably have to be pretty well known, because I think obviously men that are well known want the attractive women and aren't cared about their status. So I imagine that the standards on Raya are probably pretty skewed in the favour of hot women to high profile men anyway. So I don't even think that Raya would be an option, even if I had that social standing. But yeah, just let me know in the comments any tips you have for qualifying Tinder dates and keeping yourself safe. Because at the end of the day, I don't go on any dates where I haven't talked to the man first on the phone. But then in talking to the man, you always have a chance he's going to do this. He's going to be sexual, he's going to be offensive and creep you out. Either way, you're taking a risk. You're either giving a man your phone number and he's going to be like this, or you just go on a date and waste your time. So it's a case of, what do you want to do? Do you want to give your phone number and maybe have the risk of someone being sexually forward and aggressive over the phone? Because on the phone, it's as if no holds are barred. Men act on the phone and online in a completely different way than they would act in a bar. In a bar, they are less likely to be inappropriate. Obviously, after a few drinks, sometimes men can be a bit like that. But on the whole, men are less likely to act like that. Whereas I think online and on the phone, sometimes men think there's no holds barred and they can just act completely inappropriately to women and just be overtly sexual when you haven't built up that rapport beforehand. And I think this is what this man did. Anyway, Merry Christmas everyone, take care and see you soon.